Hello.
Mr. Bansal, Mr. Harshvardhan, please escort Honorable Minister for Bangladesh to the dais.
Hello. Hello, one check. Hello. Hello, host.
I'll use that.
Hello.
1 2 3 4 मुंबई, क्या आप मेरी आवाज सुन पा रहे हैं? सर प्लीज रिस्पॉन्ड कीजिए। सर आप मेरी आवाज सुन पा रहे हैं? ज्यादा फ्रेम एंकर, कैन यू प्लीज आप मुझसे इस पे बात करेंगे?
check 1 2 check hey check mic check 1
Check,
1
check.
आपको मेरी आवाज आ रही है?
2
1
hey
1
check
2
1
2
2
2
हेलो
Yes. Hello.
सर एक बार एंकर से बात करिए ना प्लीज।
Check.
I also request Mr. Khalid Mahmood Chaudhary as announced earlier. He is already seated, sorry. I request Commodore Arif Ahmad Mustafa, Chairman Buta, to take seat, please. Mr. Harshvardhan,
आवाज येतोय
please,
का मीटिंग मध्ये? प्लीज कन्फर्म कर।
please don't interrupt now. All testing should be done before the start of the meeting, please. There is disrespect to the audience.
नाही नाही त्यांचं झालं होतं, आपलं टेस्ट करणं गरजेचं सर। ऑडिओ मग स्पीकर वेळेवर
I know, I know, I know. Is Mr. Lakshman joining? Since he is the chief coordinator, I think it may take time. Respected dignitaries on the dais, respected ladies and gentlemen from the audience, today's session is on the inland waterways and coastal shipping, and as the convener, have the privilege to conduct this meeting, please. This is being chaired by Honorable Shri Nitin Gadkari ji, Honorable Minister for Road Transport and Highways, Government of India. He will be joining virtually. Presently, he is in a cabinet meeting in Delhi, and he will join us shortly. We have the honored guests on the dais, and with the permission of Mr. Khalid Mahmood Chaudhary, Honorable Minister of State for Government of Bangladesh, I request him to declare this session to start, please. Please help for the microphone to be switched on. Organizers, please. Somebody be on the dais.
Thank you very much. I declared the session is open.
Thank you, sir. May I request you to deliver this. Before this, I have a short presentation to start with the context of this meeting, a very short presentation. Please put the presentation on the screen. Organizers, So through this short presentation, I will set the context. What is the importance of inland waterways and coastal shipping in this region? As we see, the region is historically connected through sea and waterways. The countries of India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan are connected through waterways, the sea route. If you see the waterway connectivity, Bangladesh is blessed with so many rivers and they have an excellent network of waterways. They also have ports which are connected through the coastal routes to the neighboring countries and far and wide. India also has a very long coastal region with more than 200 ports. 12 are government owned, rest all are state and private owned. And this from thousands of years has helped in trade. Our business with Bangladesh and the neighboring countries is growing. Our ports has seen a large increase of 11.3% growth in the coastal route, which has reached to 250 million tons, which will reach to 250 million tons by 2025. The inland water transport has shown an increase of CAGR of 16%. And coastal shipping and inland waterway has the least logistic cost and theoretically the least economic cost, but add-on is the layer of the man-made rules and regulations and the last mile connectivity. And all the countries are striving to reduce, so we can reduce the logistic cost to the best benchmarks of the world, which is presently is 8%. So all the countries are working for development of the infrastructure on making new ports, new terminals. India has done through leveraging the government asset with private sector bringing in. Similarly, other countries have also done this. Our inland water transport has reached a volume of 126 million tons. And as you have seen, it's growing at the rate of 16%. We have a protocol route with Bangladesh. Their vessels come seamlessly to our country and carry the cargo between both the countries. Similarly, there was a last session on regional connectivity of the BIMSTEC country. We are also connected with, we are trying to connect with Nepal on waterways. Recently, an agreement was signed between India and Bangladesh with extended transport from the land route to the water route through the waterways. Bhutan is also using our terminal to carry its cargo to Bangladesh and beyond to the ports. One of the best byproducts of development of infrastructure has been the development of passenger transport and specifically the cruises. Some of 5-star cruises with nice stays have seen growth. This is on our Ganga River, on Brahmaputra, on the Kerala waterways and other connecting waterways. Goa is another example. So from India we are constructing terminals, floating terminals for providing the terminals for the cruise vessels. We are dredging length of waterways. Mr. Raj Singh is there. He will share his investment and his commercial activities in the cruise and speak about it. And we project that by 2047, in our Amrit Kal vision, it's going to increase many folds. India has tried to integrate the waterways with the ports because not only domestic trade through waterways, but also the export and import of important cargoes can happen. So our river Ganga, which is one of the longest of the country, is connected from Prayagraj to Haldia. The main project for development of the waterway, because the depth may be scarce at some place, is from Varanasi to Haldia. Lot of dredging activities is taking place and terminals have been constructed. The Kalughat terminal has been constructed specifically for Nepal, and they have shown interest to bring cargo here. The Sahibganj terminal is also catering to North Bihar, South Bihar, Jharkhand and Nepal. The connectivity on the Odisha side, a lot of ores are can be moved from hinterland, coal can be moved from Talcher, iron ore to the two ports of Dhamra and Paradip. There are many industrial units manufacturing steel, alloys in that area. They also need certain raw materials, limestone and coke to be moved to the plants. And we are developing this project in PPP mode. The Cochin port is integrated with the waterways of Kerala, and we are trying to increase the cargo so that Cochin port, the connectivity to the Cochin port gets maximum and the cheapest mode of transport. The new Mangalore port is also connected through waterways. The state of Kerala has shown interest in connecting these waterways to the Mangalore port, and we are trying to develop this region. Goa is connected through 4 waterways, Zuari and Mandvi, and connecting waterway, which we are trying to develop for cargo as well as passenger and tourism. The Maharashtra waterways gives almost 50% of the cargo on the waterways. So the port of Mumbai and JNPT are connected through the river systems. Jaigarh port and other ports are also connected through the river system. And we have taken up projects to develop this. Tenders for development of Amba River and the Vashishti rivers are on. Few more will be invited and published soon for development. There is another concept of connecting through the coastal route the different ports, which otherwise, if we travel through land, takes a lot of time, 5 times the time and around 3-4 times the distance. So waterway is the cheapest mode, like Hazira and Ghoga, Mumbai and Ghoga. Hazira Ghoga is already connected through a ferry. Cargo, of course, goes there. But Mumbai Hazira is also being planned through a Ro-Ro ferry. So for the way forward, government has taken several steps to promote coastal shipping and the inland waterway. These are policy initiatives. The soft part of the policies, that is relaxing the licenses for coastal, promoting RoPax, Ro-Ro, giving priority berthing to the coastal vessel and ro-ro, discounts for the port charges, assistance in construction of coastal berth, and reduction of the GST for bunkering. So with this, I call upon the speakers to highlight their initiative, and specifically Bangladesh has done a good work in inland water transport and coastal shipping. May I request Mr. Khalid Mahmood Chaudhary, Honorable Minister of State, Independent Charge, Government of Bangladesh, to give his special address, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Sanjay Bandyopadhyay, IWAI. My fellow participation of this session, stakeholder, media partner, esteemed guest present, my greeting to you all and very good day. We have gathered today on third edition of Global Maritime in India Summit to discuss, debate and shed light on our progress on developing inland waterway and connectivity, expanding maritime trade, encourage climate change in logistic and transport system, encourage on cooperation in every field to connectivity across the region. I am delighted to be a part of it, as I believe that through this type of event we would be able to identify problems, share knowledge and overcome the challenge relevant to our field of work. I thank the Government of India for inviting me here today. The history of friendship between Bangladesh and India is well known to all and established by fact. There are very few countries in the world to have such expensive ties with neighboring nation as that of India, Bangladesh. I remember the father of nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, who paved the way for fruitful relationship with India. At the same time, I cannot but express my gratitude to the people of India whenever I get the opportunity for their immense support in the liberation war of Bangladesh in 1971. Bangladesh has a border with India on three sides, stretching more than 4,000 kilometers, with Myanmar on one side. Hence, geographically, Bangladesh received most benefit from tie with India. However, the economy and trade relation with India, Bhutan, Nepal, Myanmar as close neighbors could be exploited further toward mutual benefit. A recent report by Escape showed that South Asia is one of the least integrated zones in Asia in terms of logistic, economics, harmony, connectivity, and trade. Since 2009, our bilateral relation with India has been the paradigm shift under the prudent policy of approach and visionary leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. We are on new horizon of development and inclusive nation development progress and encourage regional and sub-regional development. Recently, we have started trade through rupee with a bilateral trade value of 16 billion USD. India is Bangladesh's second largest trading partner in the world. So the deal, Bangladesh will be able to platform rupee transaction to the tune of 2 billion. The amount it gets from its export to India each year. We import 14 billion worth of goods from India annually, ranging from jute, cotton, onion, vegetable, fish, cloth. We have a plethora to industrial goods, machinery, fertilizer, and mineral and material toward between us. By 2027, the bilateral trade is established to be worth 27 billion USD. To facilitate such large value of trade, expansion of economic ties, we are working earnestly. We trade through inland waterway has doubled in the past decade. We have opened many new border hard custom station, road and rail connection, construction bridge to bring the business even closer. Bangladesh also signed a PTA with Bhutan and interested in doing same with other neighbors. We have currently holding discussion about signing a comprehensive economic partnership agreement with India, which could helpfully create a framework for enhanced bilateral trade and investment after graduation of Bangladesh from LDC status. The Nation Logistic Development and Coordination Committee of Bangladesh is working to establish link between production and the consumption zone by identify key area to build infrastructure. The government has given direction to enhance navigable waterway across the country to 10,000 kilometers. I am happy to know that the India government is also pursuing the use and development of inland waterway and interlink connectivity. There are large and capable seaports along the shore of Indian Ocean and the Bay of Bengal. In order to reach their full potential, we need to connect this port with the help of different modes of transport system. However, we face many challenges in our effort. Siltation has been a constant problem for us. For previous, the major river and tributary were kept navigable for dry season by seasonal dredging work. But now a days, the river are carrying more silt in a season. The basin and widening rapidly, causing exaggeration on site and change that cross the river. Bangladesh government is building embankment along with constant dredging operation enhance the prevention of loss of land and safe navigability at the same time. We can maintain the sense very effort and to achieve and seamless connectivity through waterway. We can share information on siltation, erosion, flooding, and invest in sustainable technology together. The government project to benefit local people can be integrated into a regional design. I long to see that day when Bangladesh would stand a developed nation alongside India, thanking organizer again. I conclude here, may our friendship live forever. Joy Bangla, Joy Bangabandhu.
Thank you, sir. We will have the session on MOUs after Honorable Mr. Nitin Gadkari joins. May I now request Commodore Arif Ahmed Mustafa, Chairman of Bangladesh Inland Water Transport Authority, to share his experience in waterways. Bangladesh has a great experience in waterways and they have done an excellent work.
Can you connect the
Guest of honor of today's session, Honorable State Minister of Ministry of Shipping of Bangladesh Government, Mr. Khalid Mahmood Chowdhury MP, respected convener and moderator of the session, my fellow panelists, stakeholders, media partners, and distinguished guests, my greetings to all of you. Namaskar, Assalamu alaikum, and a very good afternoon. At the outset, I would like to thank the organizer, IWAI, and Indian government for inviting me here to bear witness such a grand event. I would also like to take the opportunity to praise the leadership of India and Bangladesh, the Honorable Prime Ministers of these countries, for their goodwill for the very foundation of long-standing friendship between these two countries. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am here to give a short brief on development of IBP rules in Bangladesh for connectivity with India and technologies used by BIWTA. In doing so, I shall follow the sequence as shown on the slide. I shall first highlight on the existing instruments of agreement in IWT sector, followed by trade and traffic statistics, tourism opportunities, major development initiatives, immediate goals involving the IBP routes, technologies used by BIWT, and finally, I will point out the areas of collaboration and cooperation. Respected audience, as we all know that India and Bangladesh shares 54 rivers. So it is imperative that we strengthen and integrate our waterways transport system for the sustainable connectivity. To ensure that, we have several agreements in force, and these are shown on the slide. First is the Protocol on Indian Water Transit and Trade, in short PIWTT, which was signed in 1972 by the father of the nation of Bangladesh, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and the then Prime Minister of India, Srimati Indira Gandhi. And we have also an MOU, and followed by an SOP on the MOU on passenger and cruise services on the coastal and protocol route. We have MOU on development of fairways in the river Jamuna and Brahmaputra, and also in the river Kushiara, that is Ashuganj to Jokiganj, on the protocol routes. We have an MU and SOP on MU on using the inland waterways between Bangladesh and Bhutan. And to mention here that last year we have transported about 68,000 metric tons of cargo using the IBP routes between Bhutan and Bangladesh. Ladies and gentlemen, just I will touch upon the protocol routes. Number 1 and 2 route is the red marking route is starting from Kolkata to Pandu, and number 2 and 3 and 4 routes is indicated by the green waterways from Kolkata to Karimganj. We have other routes like route 5 and 6. It is not yet operational actually. It is as per the protocol treaty that it is from Dhulian to Aricha. And we have route number 7 and 8 from Pandu to Aricha, Narayanganj and Karimganj. And finally, route number 9 and 10, this is not also operational at this moment. It's from on the Gumti River from Daudkandi to the Tripura state of India. So using these routes, we have a considerable amount of goods carried through the trade, transit, and transshipment. In 2018-19, it was 2.4 million metric tons, as you can see on the slide. And only in 4 years, in 2021-22, it was 4.7 million metric tons of cargo, which was carried using these IBP routes, and it became doubled almost. Ladies and gentlemen, we expect that by 2050, it will be tripled by the amount, as you can see now in 22-23. Gentlemen, there is a great opportunity under the protocol signed for against the protocol we have existing on tourism. We have an MU in existing, and yesterday, Honorable Prime Minister of India, he mentioned about the longest journey that is made by MV Ganga Vilas of 3,200 kilometers, starting from Vanarashi to Dibrugarh. Presently, Bangladesh side entrepreneurs are also interested to conduct the tours between Bangladesh and India, and I hope this will be flourished, and it will be the IBP routes will be also extensively used for travel and tourism. The government of Bangladesh has taken various steps and projects to develop the waterways and related infrastructures. We are on the track of reviving 10,000 kilometers of waterways in Bangladesh, and presently we have 7,600 kilometers of waterways in Bangladesh operational in monsoon. And I just like to mention that in last 10 years, we have made operational 4,000 kilometers of waterways, and thereby the present state is 7,600 kilometers waterways is operational. We are building number of container terminals, cargo terminals, and multi-purpose terminals in throughout the Bangladesh. And here, like it is shown on the slide, that the Ashuganj, Kanpur, and Nagarbari, and it is expected that all these terminals will be completed by next 2-3 years, and after that, our inland cargo terminals and container terminals will be able to handle about 7 million metric tons of cargo per year. We have a future plan to revive the Jamuna River by taking a project of Jamuna River Economic Corridor project, and in the second phase of it, we have planned to get the navigability of 3 meter. Presently, it is 2.5 meter in Jamuna River. We are also exploring the possibility of multimodal transport hub in Chilmari, as the railway is very close to this port. Gentlemen, our immediate goal is to operationalize route number 5, 6, 9, 10, that is Dulian to Maya and in Gumti River. Bangladesh and India government is working very closely on these routes, and we are also planning to include Ichamoti River in the IBP routes. That will reduce the distance from Kolkata to Khulna. If we can operationalize, we are working on it also. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Prime Minister of Bangladesh has given us the vision for becoming digital Bangladesh, which has now transformed into smart Bangladesh, and BIWD is also trying to cope up with that. We are using many technologies, but few of them are shown on the slide. We conduct the digital survey with DGPS using HiPEC and HiSweep software, but we will be transforming into E&C surely very shortly. We are working on that. We have tidal data prediction using Geotide software, and BIWTA is publishing the tide table for the whole Bangladesh for all rivers and coastal areas. And we have about 54 real-time monitoring system and points. Using this thing, we publish the tide table for the Bangladesh. We have a vessel monitoring system by which we can observe the track of the vessels of BIWTA only. We have about 70-80 platforms which you can observe through the software sitting here, just from here. And we have a real-time dredging monitoring system, but it's for limited number of ships only, but we are trying to introduce RIS for dredging monitoring. And digital inland water traffic management system is in the pilot phasing. It will have many features included in it, like electronic ticketing, registration, online registration, and the civil vessel tracking and monitoring system, etc. Gentlemen, in order to prosper, we need to work together, and here are a few areas of collaboration as shown on the slide. I am not discussing this thing. Involvement of private stakeholders is very important to revive, and like the diversification of cargo is also important. We are only handling a very limited number of cargo. Though our trade is very huge, we can diversify the cargoes. Best business practices to be established, and we can also work to have the common navigational facilities like AIS, so that the vessels flying in the IBP route has a common AIS system which they can use both in Bangladesh water and Indian water. Ladies and gentlemen, I am at the end of my presentation. I just want to conclude saying that in terms of regional cooperation, there are very few countries in Asia which have such level of cooperation and integration using the river routes. I hope that it will continue on our path of success. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for patient hearing. Long live Bangladesh-India friendship.
Thank you, Commodore Arif Mustafa. May I now request Mr. R. Lakshmanan, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Port, Shipping and Waterways, to deliver his address, please.
Respected Minister from Bangladesh and other fellow panelists on the dais, and esteemed guests. So I would try to give an overview from Government of India's perspective about the inland waterway transport and the coastal shipping, and would like to keep it brief. So we recognize that inland waterway transport and coastal shipping is the cheapest and cleanest means of transport. So in the last decade, there has been a consistent effort in terms of investment commitments and improving the institutional and regulatory framework to facilitate this mode of transport. So the results are clearly visible in terms of the inland waterway cargo increasing 4x in the last decade, and the coastal cargo traffic which is doubled in the last decade. So that clearly shows our commitment and the efforts that have been made in this direction. Further, we are focusing not only on cargo, but also the passenger transport which is happening through the inland waterways, and also the river tourism. So these three segments are being focused upon. Going forward, we have a clear roadmap, the medium-term roadmap as to where we want to be by 2030. In terms of the cargo, we are looking at reaching probably like 250 million metric tons through the inland water transport, and similarly like 500 million metric tons by 2047. So that is the long-term growth. Similarly, we have for the passenger transport, where do we want to see us in the next 7 years and the next 20 years or 25 years. Similarly, on the river tourism front. So the roadmap on all the three segments is very clearly articulated in our documents. And our focus is on the energy transition in this space as well. How do we green this segment of transportation? On this, I would like to quote a couple of examples. One is the first green hydrogen fuel cell vessel, which is almost complete. We are expecting that by end of this year, it will be deployed in River Ganges, which is being manufactured by our Cochin shipyard. Similarly, we are looking at electric ferries, which have already been deployed in Kerala, and we are expecting deployment in River Ganges and Brahmaputra by end of this year. So based on these pilots and examples, so we are also formulating a inland vessel green transition program, so which will try to convert all the existing fuels to greener fuels. It may be electric, it could be hydrogen or a hybrid. Similarly, on the tourism front, we are trying to bring in convergence, working with the state governments and the tourism ministry, so that we are able to bring in a holistic perspective to the river tourism. In terms of the ecosystem, we are quite aware in terms of providing an assured depth, improving the dredging capacity, and improving the vessel availability. So on all these three fronts, there are concerted efforts from the Government of India side. Similarly, on the legal and institutional framework, we are working on improving the systems. To quote an example, on the digitization side, we are working on a centralized vessel registration database, so which will bring in a lot of efficiencies. And similarly, we are also working on a river terminal operating system, which will be integrated to the National Logistics Portal. So it will facilitate the movement of river vessels across the coastal route. To facilitate all of this, there is a huge investment that is being planned over the next decade. So the investment is on two fronts. One from the Government of India side, where we are investing in the infrastructure. And there are a lot of infrastructure like the terminals or certain aspects of the fairway maintenance where it is feasible through private investment on a public-private partnership. To quote some of the key projects which are in the pipeline, one is the Orissa waterway development, which is linking the industrial cluster around Talcher to Damra and Paradip Port, which has an investment potential of around 15,000 crores. Similarly, we are looking at the Maharashtra waterways and the Gujarat waterways, which again have significant investment potentials. So these are opportunities where the private sector can participate. And the last point in terms of the regional integration, that is again a key aspect which we are focusing on, where we are working with our neighboring countries of Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan and Myanmar and Sri Lanka to see how we can integrate on the coastal route and the inland waterways. So we are quite hopeful that we will be able to drive this regional waterway grid project that we are looking at. So with that, I would like to complete my address. Thank you.
As informed, Mr. Gadkari will join around 1:30 p.m. Now I request Mr. Sanjeev Kumar, Associate Vice President and Head of Business Development for Dredging of Adani Ports and Special Economic Zone Limited. As you see, we have sequenced the presentation and the address first on infra and soil conservation, then on the dredging part, then on the experience and financing. May I request Mr. Sanjeev Kumar, please.
Good afternoon to all the dignitaries of the dais, on the dais. Since you all may be knowing about Adani Ports, they are in the dredging business also from 2005. But Inland Waterways was one of the venture we entered in 2018, and for the last half a decade, we are successfully maintaining the 3 stretches in the National Waterway 1, that is Ganga. So I just like to go through what we are facing, the challenges, the learnings what we had, and what we can do further. So in a very brief introduction, I just go to that. Yeah. So usually, as you can see that this is about 300 kilometers of the area what we are maintaining and delivering the LAD of 3 meters throughout the year. And while doing this, definitely we had to go through different challenges. The first one is the natural challenges, because you can understand that the river itself have many aspects, the flow, the source, the gradient, the current. So there are multiple things which contributes to give you a depth when you are navigating your vessels through the river. The stability of the bank is one of the major challenge what we faced over there, and with learnings we try to overcome that one as well. Yeah, in addition, we have the social challenges also, because we know that River Ganga is the living goddess, and there is an ecosystem along the banks. So we need to take care of that as well while executing our operation over there. The third and the most important was the physical challenge, because of course we are doing that one, but there was a frequent I think interferences was there, because either because there was an underwater installation, such pipelines. As you can see that the floating pontoon bridge was there, overhanging. So these are the physical challenges we faced, and we slowly learn how to meet and how to mitigate those things. How we approached, we had deployed cutter sections over there, water injection dredgers here, and the real challenge was to know that, the constant survey was to be done on a weekly basis to know what is the flow of water, how the morphology is behaving. So we have taken all these into our consideration and delivered what we have to. Yeah, you can see that we have first year was really challenged, and especially during the lean season when we started, because there was a sudden drop in water level. So we try to understand that how we can really mitigate that one. And then we started using the local also support to understand from the locals that what are the best way by which we can streamline the river flow and to get the things as what we are looking for. Bandaling is one of the best option what we found over there. I think this is something which is really streamlining the river and giving us the best results. The social awareness was also one of the prime focus for us because a lot of stakeholders were involved. We were working in 3 different states. So we have kept our standard very high for the awareness part as well as to passing the information to the locals that what we are doing. So you can see these pictures which shows that what are the social awareness program we conducted over there. There are some more pictures, the yoga day. And also this is something which is very important over there, the tapping the traditional knowledge from the people, talking to the locals and getting their information how the river behaves during the different seasons. One of the things what we did, because we, when we entered there, we thought of how best equipment we can deploy over there. We took some innovation in that, the extended pontoon or the angle of the cutter. Those are the innovations we did to understand that how we can really deliver about 45-meter width and 3-meter depth throughout the year. As you can see that we try to use the current of the river mainly to get the maximum output or create the depths. Yeah, now just few points on the sustainability of the water way. We talked about that the river, the measures we have to take about constructing groins, dikes, etc., just to streamline the flow so that we can have minimum dredging to be done. And then the long-term approach to be taken. And for the business, of course, we also talked about, I think in the presentation, it was talked about some using the policy levels, some, you know, you have to give some incentives so that more and more people can come and do their business in the waterways. So in a nutshell, we have to work with the rivers, not against that. So that's the way what we are doing over there. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I think we stand at a moment when Honorable Minister Mr. Gadkari may join any time, but we will take this time to call upon Dr. Nayan Sharma, ex-professor IIT Roorkee, to please speak on his novel method of containing siltation, please.
Well, I must thank IWA for giving me this opportunity. Well, I'll speak about a topic which is totally, it's a different kind of thing. It's about how to induce the river. That's the last slide of the earlier, that we should walk with the river, not against it. But I think dredging works against the river. Sorry, I may be forgiven. So in US, during my stay there, Professor Woodgard and me, we worked on this submerged vein. Like in Europe, they call it bottom panels, which was used in Brahmaputra. So I will briefly touch upon some of these points. Well, in 2009, for the first time, IWA applied this submerged vein technique. Submerged vein is also dredging, but there is a difference. In mechanical dredging, suction cutter dredging, the river is forced and it gets redeposited. And not only that, the ecosystem, mainly the food chain and the habitat of ecosystems are destroyed. That's a fact. Whereas in submerged vein, we try to induce the river to do dredging spontaneously. So our experience of 2009, which I visited only 2 years back, without any dredging, without any bundling, the water depth is maintained. Prior to this, water depth was only 1.3 meter, and when we visited 2 years back, we still could get 3 meter plus. Well, since 2010, almost 12 years, some reasons that IWI didn't pursue this very promising technique, but I must give credit to the present chairman. After he came on the scene in 2 years back, the matter got again reopened, and for the second time, I will say, IIT Roorkee got a chance to use this technique. Well, I must tell you, in United States, they use steel plates as submerged vein, and also concrete slabs. And in Europe, they use mostly steel plate and concrete slab. But it's unaffordable because Indian rivers are not like Mississippi, not like Rhine. Ganga, Brahmaputra, Ganda, Kosis are very tough rivers. Even though I worked quite a long time, I was, unless and until I worked, I was in two minds, whether it will succeed or not. But we are very fortunate, we applied submerged vein technique at 7 sites. The one you are looking at is last year at Ghazipur. This was during installation. Well, we should try to evaluate what is the results. How? One is see the satellite images as you are looking at here. The one on the top shows a secondary channel is about to open up. So if secondary channels are opening, the river will become wider. Then during low flow, the same less water will get spread out. So we are not able to get 3 meter plus water depth. In fact, it will become less if erosion is continuing, secondary channels are appearing. And so in 2023, the lower satellite image, you can see that this secondary channel was closed, it was choked. So that shows it worked well. Plus we also checked with cross-section survey, the IWI. They conducted cross-section survey. Please look the red line. The red line shows there is a perceptible increase in water depth. This is really happening. If you do dredging, you have to spend 200 to 300 crore rupees. This total cost was only 9 crore. So it's highly cost effective. I will show, because of shortness of time, I will show you only 2 more sites. Well, this is another site did last year, Sri Rampur. You can see the submerged veins were being installed during the low flow in the month of May. And the lower, okay, this is using bamboo to cut down cost. And please have a close look of this satellite image. The upper one shows a secondary channel, not one, a system, about 2 to 3, we're trying to open up. If they open up, then rivers like Ganga, Brahmaputra, they are rivers with very high energy of stream energy. So they will change the course, they can migrate. But I'm so happy it belied my expectation that after we install this submerged vein, the lower satellite image will show you that it got silted up. The next site is even more interesting. Okay, please have a look into the cross-section survey, which was done after the, in the post-monsoon. The red line clearly depicts that what you could achieve with dredging, mechanical dredging, cutter suction dredging, I am achieving it with my submerged vein. I am not spending 200 to 300 crore, I am spending only 9 crore. And you can see I have measured, the water depth came more than 3 meter. 3 meter depth more means you can carry cargo as big as 2,000 ton or more. So this is a very clear evidence, recent, current evidence, that using submerged vein, we could achieve what dredging, mechanical dredging is achieving. Well, please have this one is very interesting. Probably my most challenging was this. The upper one very clearly depicts that river Ganga at a site called Haldi was trying to completely change the course. That's why I have written hazardous course changing developing. A river like Ganga, Brahmaputra, if they change course, it is tremendous, it can be disaster. Like in 2008, Kosi River changed course in Nepal. And almost, I think 3 to 4 million people became homeless. I was worried, but I'm really so happy to show you the lower one. Please see very carefully. That lower, almost 2 kilometer wide river is got silted up. It's a real evidence, satellite-based evidence, the latest one. That means that submerged vein has done wonder with a small investment. It's very low cost. It's very eco-friendly. Why eco-friendly? Because we don't destroy the natural habitat of fauna. Planktons are not disturbed. Megafauna's food chain is retained. And still I'm able to achieve with a minimum cost. So I think this, I'm likely to visit the United States this year. So I'm going to show it to the Americans, my colleagues there, that in a big river like Ganga, much bigger than Mississippi, we could achieve unbelievable results. It belied my expectation, even though I work on this subject for almost more than 3 decades. Well, I will very quickly show you a very interesting thing done for Brahmaputra River. In 50 years back in Brahmaputra, at 5 sites, these bottom panel is the name given by Europeans. In America, submerged vein in Europe. And this was tried there, got excellent results. I will just wind up now. Okay. Okay, I think.
Can you wind up, please? I think, yes, you finish up. Finish in.
Okay. I think I must thank you that since Minister. Okay then.
Thank you, Professor Sharma. We now welcome among us Minister Shri Nitin Gadkari ji, Honorable Minister for Road Transport and Highways. He has been kind enough to give time from his busy schedule. Before I will call him for a speech, we will share some MOU, exchange MOUs before him. The people who will exchange MOU, please come forward soon. Come fast, please. Sir, this will take a minute. MC, please take over.
Check. Now taking the program forward, we will proceed
Please
with
come
the
on the
exchange
dais.
of
Please
the
come
MOUs.
forward on the dais, please.
Mr. Bandyopadhyay, may I have your permission to take it on from here, sir?
Yes.
Thank you.
And quickly, please.
Yes. So, taking on the first, we have an MOU between IWAI and A to Z Exim. May I request Mr. Selvin Kumar and Sohil Kumar join. This is for facilitating the movement of cargo on national waterways. A big round of applause. Thank you, gentlemen. Can you carry out the exchange, please? Thank you very much. Moving on to the next, I'm going to request Mr. A.K. Bansal on behalf of IWAI and Mr. Purohit on behalf of Star Cement to step on the dais and conduct the exchange. This is for facilitating the movement of cargo on national waterways. A big round of applause for the two gentlemen. Please carry out the exchange, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Thank you. Moving on to the next. To represent IWAI, may I call upon Mr. Ashutosh Gautam and Captain S. Divakar, MD CEO of DCI. This is an MOU with DCI for dredging in NWs. A big round of applause for the gentlemen. Thank you, gentlemen. Please conduct the exchange. I would like to call upon some representative of IWAI and Alaknanda Cruise Line. IWA and Alaknanda Cruise Line. This is for cruise operation at Mathura and Ayodhya. A big round of applause for the two gentlemen. Thank you, gentlemen. Please conduct the exchange. For the next exchange, I will request representative of IIT Roorkee and IWAI, Mr. Nayan Sharma of IIT Roorkee, please step on the dais. And Mr. Srivastav of IWAI. This MOU is for association to establish a framework for cooperation between IWAI and IIT Roorkee. For the next, I request a representative of IWAI and Transport Department, Assam, Mr. Vijay, Mr. Adil Khan. This is for O&M and O2 electric hybrid catamaran vessel between IWAI and Transport Department, Assam. Thank you, gentlemen. Please conduct the exchange. Thank you. To the next, I'll request a representative of Yogyatan Ports Private Limited and IWAI to step on the dais. This MOU, Mr. Vinayak Azad from IWAI and the representative of Yogyatan for facilitating the movement of cargo on national waterways. Big round of applause. Thank you, gentlemen.
I think you are done. I now call upon Honorable Minister Shri Nitin Gadkari ji, Minister for Road Transport and Highways, Government of India, to please address this session.
Namaskar. Mr. Khalid Mohammad Chowdhury, Honorable Minister of State for Shipping, Government of Bangladesh. Mr. Sanjay Bandopadhyay, Chairman, Inland Waterways Authority of India. Eminent speakers, dignitaries, officials, invitees, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, I wanted to be present there in Mumbai for this event. Because of the cabinet meeting, I had to stay back at Delhi and join this summit over the VC. I am very happy to participate in the session on inland waterways and coastal shipping, the way forward, at the 3rd Global Maritime India Summit. This is a subject which is touching to my heart. Let me first express my sincere thanks to Sri Sarvananda Sonwal ji and his ministry for organizing this global summit. I would also like to welcome delegates and participants from more than 70 countries who are being the part of this event. The Global Maritime India Summit is a platform to showcase India's maritime potential and attract investment from around the world. This summit brings together global maritime leaders, policymakers, investors, and other stakeholders. We have gathered here to explore opportunities, understand challenges, and promote investment in India's maritime sector. India has a rich maritime heritage and a coastal line over 7,500 kilometers. The maritime sector plays a vital role in the Indian economy, supporting over 4 crore jobs. India's strategic location gives us a huge advantage to further develop our marine sector and increase our logistic efficiency. The 95% of India's foreign trade and 70% of its total trade in terms of value takes place through seaways. Our waterways and roadways are promoting regional trade through interconnected network of rivers and roads across the neighboring countries of Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal, and Myanmar. Today, India is a home for 12 major ports, over 200 other ports, 30 shipyards, and a well-established hub of diverse maritime services providers. We are investing heavily in port infrastructure, shipbuilding, and related industries. Our government is giving priority to the development of inland waterways, transport, and port connectivity projects. Travel by waterways is always cheaper than travel by roads or railway. I always explain it by saying that if the cost of travel by road is 10 rupees, then by railway it will come to 6 rupees, and by waterways it will be 1 rupees only. And that's the reason I am always telling to the people that the first priority is to waterways, second priority is to railway, third priority to road, and fourth to aviation. The inland water transport is recognized as a fuel efficient, cost effective, and environment friendly mode of transport. I am pleased to share some of the remarkable success stories of Indian inland waterways. During my tenure as a Minister of Port, Shipping and Waterways, the National Waterways Act in 2016 was enacted, which is a pivotal moment in our journey of Indian waterways. It led to the declaration of 111 national waterways, expanding the total length from 4,382 km to 20,186 km, increases by 5 times. I got the opportunity to develop the first waterways of India from Varanasi to Haldia with a 3-meter raft. Construction of 25 terminals was undertaken, which includes important multimodal terminals like terminals at Varanasi, Sahibganj, and Haldia. The Inland Vessels Act of 2021 brought modernization and promoted to ease of doing business in the sector. Several groundbreaking projects have been initiated since 2014, including the Jalamarg Vikas project, Ardha Ganga project, and the construction of the ship repair facility at Guwahati, Pandu Jetty in northeast area. These developments are not only enhancing capacity, but also promoting economic growth in various regions. In the last financial year, our cargo traffic reached the highest level of 126 million tons. Investment in waterways increased by 3 times, at least 9 years. Operational waterways have increased by 8 times from 3 in 13-14 to 24 in 22-23. The shipping cargo has also seen a rapid increase in last 9 years and has almost doubled, reaching to 150 million tons. Center for Excellence for Capacity Building, the establishment of new institutions for research, development and training, such as the Maritime Skill Development Center in Guwahati and the School of Logistic Communication and Waterways in Agartala, have paved the way for a highly skilled and capable workforce. Steps have been taken towards the development of electric catamaran and hydrogen-powered vessels. I will request to all of you that in the waterways, we need to have reduced the fuel cost. The methanol also can be a good fuel. The cost of the methanol is 25 rupees per liter, and now in many Western countries, they are using methanol as a fuel in their cruise and in the shipping. I also request you that the Cochin Shipyard is the flagship company for our department, and I am expecting from Cochin Shipyard to develop all type of new technology available in the world. Either it is on hydrogen, electric, methanol, or anything new changes, new technology is very important for the country. The futuristic development and futuristic technology is the vision for the country. I feel that these initiatives would reduce our dependency on fossil fuel and minimize environmental impact. We are committed to foster public-private partnership, PPP, to drive further growth in the inland water transport sector. Several national waterways are proposed under PPP modes. Another major initiative which has been taken by the ministry in Sagarmala, which involves construction of over 500 projects, and this is the four main pillars of the Sagarmala are the port modernization and new port development, port connectivity enhancement, port-led industrialization and coastal community development, and logistic cost in India is higher at 14% of the GDP compared to 8% of GDP in developed countries. The objective of the Sagarmala is to reduce the logistic cost and take maximum advantage of India's 7,500 kilometer long coastline and 14,500 kilometer of potential navigable waterways. Along with ports, we need to develop the road infrastructure also. Under the Ministry of Road Transport and Highway, the flagship scheme of Bharatmala Pariyojana has improved efficiency of existing corridors. We are developing 27 greenfield expressways and access control corridors of 10,000 kilometers at a cost of rupees 4.5 lakh crores. The various industrial clusters, multimodal logistic parks, and special economic zones are being developed along the national highway corridors. The port connectivity projects are being implemented to enable the swift movement of the cargo. Connectivity all ports and inland waterways terminals to increase the efficiency of domestic and international trade routes. All major operational ports currently have 4-lane and last mile road connectivity. My ministry is developing 125 port connectivity road projects of a length of 4,000 kilometers at a cost of rupees 66,000 crore to improve the last mile connectivity of all 87 operational and under construction ports. Currently, 80% of international goods are being transported by sea. India is the biggest seaport. JNPT is the busiest port in the world. We are providing connectivity to JNPT through Delhi-Mumbai Expressway and also developing MMLP in Mumbai. Having a coastline of length 7,500 kilometers, our government is aiming to achieve rupees 100 billion blue economy through its deep ocean mission and ocean resources. As per research by the Sustainable Development Growth SDG panel, an investment of 1 rupee in ocean activities would generate a return of 5 rupees. The Global Maritime India Summit 2023 is a platform for India to showcase its strength and to encourage with global maritime stakeholders. This is an opportunity for India to take the leading role in shaping the future of the global maritime industry. As we look to the future, we should remain committed to encourage innovation and collaboration to achieve greater success. I am really happy that today I got opportunity to present my thoughts to you. I feel that the waterways and water transport is the most important agenda for the Bharat's government. And that is the reason that today's conference is very important. Two of the three important suggestions which I want to convey to you, that Cochin shipyard should take the best technology in the world and start the manufacturing of different type of ships, catamaran and hovercrafts in the country, by which we can make the cost of the particular ship will be reduced. And the most important thing, by cooperating automobile industry in the country, we can get the engines, automobile engines, which can use for catamaran, hovercraft. That engine can be on methanol, ethanol, bio-CNG, bio-LNG, hydrogen and electric, by which we can reduce the logistic cost. I feel that this is the time that the shipping ministry will take the initiative for making waterways in the country, because the development of waterways is very important for the development of Bharat. I am really happy that a lot of people coming from abroad. I will appeal all of them to invest in India. India is the fastest growing economy in the world, and our mission and dream of our Prime Minister to make India as the third largest economy in the world. We are very, very friendly for investment. We will cooperate you, and 100% with your cooperation, we will make success story. Once again, I am giving my thanks to all of you. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir, for your guidance, and we have noted your suggestion. We'll take it forward in the coastal shipping and the inland waterway route. Now I request Mr. Yako Klenves, Area Sales Manager, Royal ISC, to give a presentation, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much for giving the opportunity to present here on the stage. Thank you very much. Yes, can we go to the slides? Yeah, I will have a little bit more of a technical presentation today. I get 5 minutes to explain to you why customizing dredging equipment for your project is very important. And I want to take the opportunity to use the National Waterway 1 as an example, which was also mentioned earlier by our dear customer Adanis. And in this National Waterway 1, there are a few specific project-related items. For example, the dredging depth, as mentioned before, needed to be maximum 3 meters depth. The canal dimensions in width, 45 meters. 45 meters in width, maximum. And of course, what is also important when you dredge canals, rivers or ports, that is the soil type. If you take these two or these parameters into account, then it's very important to look at your specific dredging equipment. In dredging equipment, you can go basically 2 directions. Depending if it's smaller in size, you can go in 2 directions. One, you can go to extreme bespoke equipment, fully tailor-made for your job. That is usually also quite costly, but it's fully tailor-made for your specific project. On the other hand, you can also go from the standardized cutter suction dredges or dredger series that there are and modify these to your specific project. And usually this is the most cost-effective way in approaching your project. So we have, in this particular lineup, we have cutter suction dredges 30, 40, 45, 50 and 65 millimeters, centimeters of dredging diameter. In this particular case, I move a little bit from the echo because of the mic. In this particular case, we found out that the Beaver 40 was the most suitable unit for dredging in the Ganga. With a cutter power of 55 kilowatts, it is not the biggest one, but suitable for the job. But as you can see on the screen, the maximum dredging depth of this beaver is 8 meters. So it's far off from the 3 meters that is required in the Ganga. I'll come back to that a little bit later. Another important type of item for your cutter suction dredger is what type of soil do you have and what kind of cutter head is most productive. And in this particular case, we have opted for the Lancelot cutter head, which cuts in thin layers, has 8 cutting pieces, less blockage, less vibrations. So this is one of those choices that is possible in dredging equipment. If you go to more coarse sand or harder sand, you need maybe a different cutter. Coming back to the cutter ladder and the depth. So this is the standard configuration, dredging at 8 meters water depth, maximum. And you can see that the angle of the cutter head at the seabed is in a certain angle, the most optimum cutting angle. If you have a depth of maximum 3 meters, you will notice that the angle of the cutter ladder will be completely different. So that also means that your cutter head will have a different angle of approach to the seabed than before. Less efficient. To compensate for that, this is the standard cutter ladder, and this is the angle of the standard cutter head. This is the modified cutter ladder, and you can already clearly see that the angle of approach has been modified to adapt to the 3 meter maximum water depth of dredging. All to make your dredger more productive. Another thing, the heart of the dredger is very often the pump. And we design our pumps ourselves. We do that very extensively in our lab for certain soil types and the like. And one of the critical items on the pump is the spherical passage. The larger the spherical passage, the larger pieces of rock, pebbles, etc. can pass through your pump. If your pump is blocked, you need to open it and you need to clean up your pump. So you will gain efficiency and operational time here. Also, all our pumps are made of extremely hard, wear-resistant material because we know soil dredging is very aggressive. So what we want to do, as less wear as possible. Of course, you will always have wear, but we try to reduce it as much as possible. If you go on this particular dredger, you can see that on the sides you have these anchor booms. So you can choose, or you have a boat who will shift your anchors during the operation, or you can make use of anchor booms. So you are less independent of a workboat. So this can, in your operation, be more efficient or less. That's a little bit depending which way you go. And then a spud carriage pontoon. So a spud carriage pontoon, the cutter suction dredger is connected with a spud to the bottom, and it turns pivoting along the spud. If you do one cutting, you go and step forward, do the next cutting. So you can increase that cutting speed or that forward movement by means of the spud carriage pontoon. The spud to carriage pontoon in this particular case is extremely long. It is 12 meters extended from the normal spud carriage pontoon. And why? Well, that's because we want to achieve this 45-meter canal swing in one go. So 45 meters canal width, the swing in one go, and that is why we have extended this spud carrier pontoon. And of course, this is all technical matters for your project.
For different market segments, have different fleet families, we will have different solutions. But we have to realize that when we invest now in an inlet vessel, 20 years from now it will still be in operation. So it would be a pity to invest in the conventional technologies. A no-regret solution is, for example, a modular system, where you choose an electric drive line and choose a more conventional power system in a separate module, so that in future you can change the module when a better solution is available. Also, you can look at the vessel design. We think that vessel designs can be optimized for the future and for their use. Give you one example. A lot of vessels, I don't know how it is in India, but in the Rhine system, a lot of vessels are over-dimensioned in engine power. That leads to a higher energy use than what would be required for that type of operations. Greening is a difficulty when there is no business case, or when there's no business case, or when it's not made mandatory by regulation. What we see in the Rhine system is a more voluntary system growing, where shippers, cargo owners are taking initiatives, where green deals are being made, where emission labels are being set up, also initiated by the maritime industry itself. Then we have the potential of digitalization and automation. Better use of information, sharing of information between vessel operators and corridor management can lead to a better efficiency. We do not think, to be honest, that the full automation will be the solution for all the vessels in the inland shipping business. More likely, we will see part automation. For example, a ground station and a limited number of people on board. Actually, in 2029, the European legislation will allow a different manning system, a flexible manning system, in combination with this increased automation. My final remark is the issue on how to finance all those applications and how to stimulate innovation. In the European market, we see general support systems for
Mr.
green
Delaire,
solutions.
you have to be mindful of the time, please.
Yeah. 10 seconds. We're financing systems via guarantee funds, and especially interesting solutions where a group of stakeholders is financing the cargo owner, the vessel owner, the operator, the shipbuilder, and the bank. As I said, these are just examples. There are many more on the slide, and I invite you to have a more detailed talk afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you so much. As usual, the infra fellows have taken time from the financing and the softer things. Now I request Mr. Arnab Bandyopadhyay, the program leader for infrastructure of the World Bank, to deliver his address.
Good afternoon, everyone, respected chairman, guest of honor, convener, my fellow panelists, and this esteemed audience. It's indeed a privilege to talk to you. I do realize that I have to be short and sharp because I'm standing between you and the lunchtime. So, as you must have heard earlier, that the IWT traffic in India is growing steadily at a CAGR of about 17% over the last 7 years. But during this time, what we have been also noticing is that the fleet has actually declined by 8%, which is a matter of big worry, because it will be almost impossible to sustain this growth unless also the fleet develops. The fleet is also aging. Our assessment is about 80% of the fleet is above 30 years, low tonnage, and they are not fit for use particularly for future waterways, as Harry was mentioning. We realize that vessel financing is a major bottleneck to spur demand and supply of IV vessels, and also the greening of IV fleet, which is a compulsion, I would say, which is in pretty nascent stage, that is posing additional challenges. However, on the positive side, we see quite a bit of current initiatives. Some of those Mr. Lakshmanan mentioned, but I also wanted to particularly highlight some of the flagship projects which are ongoing, which has a focus on also particularly green fleet and green fuel development. I'm not going to mention those, but those are both at the federal level and at the state and city level, and that is what is quite encouraging. We also have noticed that on the IBP route, there has been several pilot runs on cargo vessels which have been organized over the past few years. And this is a good sign for particularly pushing the market development and market demand. IV Act 2021 and the Rules 2022 was also landmark. 30% subsidy for green vessels particularly was also a landmark decision. And here again, a shout out to our Kochi Shipyard Limited for pioneering the R&D on green vessels and also grabbing a share of that fledgling, the green market. What are the challenges? And these are largely from an intersection of financing ecosystem and IWT ecosystem. I'm not going to read out all of these, but we know that there are infrastructure related challenges around navigability. There are also some other ecosystem challenges because vessel building is highly capital intensive, as we know. And till today, most of the commercial banks actually are charging very high interest rate and seek collaterals, because in India, we do not have the opportunity, like in many other countries, essentially to securitize vessels or mortgage vessels yet. The Act doesn't allow it. Also, shipyards, which are a critical player in this ecosystem, they lack access to long-term capital. Like in many other countries, they do have access to long-term capital. Private sector is indeed very apprehensive of assured cargo flow or business cases because long-term contracts are still not commonplace. Short repayment period that applies to all other sectors. This is so there is an asset liability mismatch because the vessels have a much longer life, whereas the repayment period for loans are short. Insurers, they are having very limited valuation expertise, high cost and delayed processing time, what we have been noticing. How this is being streamlined globally, a very quick look. You can see both in EU and China, mortgage system is very popular, so the vessels can be securitized. Banks do not ask for collaterals. Shipyards have access to financing. Smaller companies in EU, they are actually organized as cooperatives, so they can get the scale benefit to access financing. And there are national programs or regional programs in EU 10T, etc., which actually target modal shift actions like the Marco Polo One. In US, which is a pretty matured market, in Marad, they do have also some kind of credit enhancement program, guarantee program for shipyards and ship owners both to access, to help them better cost of capital. So they get access to higher, longer tenure loans with lower interest rates. Japan, they have a very interesting and innovative program because as you realize that in any industry, the cost of ownership or the risk of ownership is high. So they have a leasing program called JOLCO, from where you actually, a leasing agreement can be actually converted at the end of the leasing period to an ownership arrangement. They do have also full recourse and limited recourse loans available. So these are some of those examples across countries, developed countries, which definitely India can learn from in terms of both long-term, low interest rates, commercial finance, asset securitization, government funding schemes particularly targeted, and also mechanisms to promote shipyards to own and lease IV assets. We are increasingly seeing this in China, where the shipyards are playing a very active role. On the way forward, busy slide, I'm not going to mention a lot of things, but I think we need to focus in each of these areas, policy and regulation, institutional structure and roles, which I'll come back at the end, funding and financing, and also, I would say, infrastructure. These are the 4 areas which we need to simultaneously work on, and remember that, essentially, dedicated institution, policy framework, innovative financing mechanism, all are critical elements for vessel financing. Let me quickly switch to greening. I have just a couple of slides, and it is actually unfair if we don't talk about greening in IWT now, because the flavor of this particular event, as you might have noticed, is actually greening of maritime. And this is an interesting chart, a 360-degree view, which is developed by EU, that NIDIS. On the left-hand side, you will see the opportunities for greening of vessels. But let's not forget that ecology and economy, they are not contradictory. And on the right-hand side, it also shows that there are a lot of opportunities for also capturing efficiency or business cases. Because, as you realize, in next few years, a lot of industries will have compulsion for greening their supply chain, and they will have to move to green vessels, essentially, not just to IWT. In India, we see some green suits. I will particularly name Tata Steel, is a company which has actually started looking into greening their supply chain through IWT and green IWT. There more will be coming because globally, if the companies will have to compete, they will have to move to it. And that's why the greening will also have business case, just not an imperative from a greening or kind of our net zero obligations. However, we need to be modest here. There are no clear precedents had yet been set. This is our assessment from the bank anywhere in the world. We do see some encouraging but moderate beginning though, particularly the Connecting Europe facility and the Innovation Fund moving towards also covering also now inland waterway sector. We also see new financing and funding mechanisms developing for greening IWT, but most of those are in nascent pilot stage. And here I would argue that India has an opportunity to actually leapfrog and grab that market, because if we are modernizing our vessel fleet, it's also an opportunity to green that fleet. We see a very interesting trend though, that there is an enhanced focus globally on research projects and pilot enhancing. I mentioned about Kochi Shipyard Limited. I think increasingly we need to focus in that area in our center of excellence which are being developed, which Honorable Minister was also mentioning. Again, I think a five-pronged approach, green vessels, and then in green vessels, zero low carbon fuels, it has to be 1,000 flowers, let 1,000 flowers bloom. IMO is also telling that because, so I'm not going into each of these, but we need to develop the infrastructure, we need to develop the bunkering facilities to cater to all kinds of fuel, not only green hydrogen, but green hydrogen derivatives, so green ethanol and green ammonia, for example. Green terminals, they can actually become a source of energy, as Harry was also mentioning. In Europe, there is definitely a move towards that. Efficiency in operations. Environment and climate risk management is another pillar. And let's not forget, when you're talking about financing and greening, adaptation is also a big challenge, particularly on waterways. And think about adaptation financing and adaptation measures as well. And last but not least, of course, the green financing. This is my last slide. This is, again, I'm not going to talk about all of the 10 boxes, but I want to leave with 4 messages, 2 from financing side and 2 on the greening side. So first is strengthen the IWT ecosystem. It's very clear. And globally, we have seen the financing is only attracted when the IWT as an ecosystem gets developed. What I mean by that is we need to develop IWT insurance, we need to develop IWT repair and maintenance, we need to develop IWT registration system, we need to develop IWT inspection system. Then only it creates the confidence with the investors to actually invest in the market. Second is government will have to play a role. Even in the mature market, I would argue the governments are playing very active role. And India must play an active role in terms of dedicated institution, a dedicated financing pool. I would say actually a fund which can attract fund not only from government but also from users. And we see examples of this. We see examples in Norway where the NOx is actually the user. Users are also putting money there besides the government. And even MDBs and concessional financing, it should be able to attract. We need to also, the government must work on enabling policy on market development, some of those which we heard very encouraging move earlier today. And definitely on underwriting risks. So the government will have to also underwrite risk, get into tripartite agreement. 2 other points. Let's focus on greening on low-hanging fruits, I would say. Look for early wins. And we do have early wins in this area. In any other, like any other floating asset, when the origin and destination pairs are known, I think it is always easier to finance a floating asset. So start looking at passenger ferries and ro-ros. I think that's the low-hanging fruit. Let's make a beginning on greening with those, that sector. And I would put a lot of emphasis on my 4th and last point, which is technology development. Technology is yet at a very nascent stage in greening, and we need to do a lot. And for technology development, we need to do hand-holding. We have to provide some kind of grant financing. So organizations like Kochi Shipyard Limited or the various other COEs, NINIs, they must be getting some support, grant support. And again, in Europe, we see examples from this. We see the Innovation Fund, which actually from the emission trading scheme gets fund, directs grant for innovation and R&D. That's all from my end. Lastly, I will urge all of the stakeholders that vision has been set in 2030, a grand vision. We need now action plans, and I would suggest yearly action plan. We from the World Bank are ready to support you all the time to develop these action plans and take this agenda forward. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Arnab. Now I request Mr. Raj Singh, Chairman of Heritage River Journey Private Limited. I request you to be short, please.
Good afternoon, Honorable Minister, Chairman IWI, the IWTA, Mr. Lakshmanji, and other fellow panelists and distinguished guests. One of the things is that we are operating river cruises on National Waterway number 1, number 2, as well as Indo-Bangla Protocol route. Our ships are all made in India. So technologically what we do is that we try to be as sustainable as possible, and all our ships have got all the modern sustainable practices like अच्छा अच्छा इसको आगे ये how do I presentation?
Iti, please help him to move the slides forward.
So as you can see, our ships, they're all made in India, and they have got all sustainable practices like STP plants, water filtration systems, dolphin diffusers for ecosystems. But when it comes to the interior, we have all the ethnic, all the Indian interiors where we have used all the Indian sort of crafts and arts to make it look beautiful. These are some of the suites inside one of our ships called Ganges Voyager. So we do have a ship, sort of fleet of 8 or 9 ships, but all ships are very different. These are the sun decks, interiors, a dining hall and all, food. The other thing is that the ships operate on, as I said, for 7-night cruises, 3-night cruises, and 51-day cruises. And this is where it's crucial, where IWI assists and maintains the channels and helps us in operating wherever we have problems. IWI also assists us in case we have technical problems, in the sense of we are stuck up with tugs and other things. So they, as partners, they have been very crucial to make river cruise tourism a success story on the Ganges and the Brahmaputra river systems where we operate. Some of the other things is that we go to places where people don't normally go as tourists, and so even the locals are able to kind of have some economic benefits as we use the local markets for shopping, especially fruits, vegetables, and the monuments. So these are some of the monuments which are on the Hooghly, on the Ganga, lower Ganga, as you can see, temples, monuments. Of course, the other thing is that we also did this January the longest cruise ship, river cruise in the world, from Varanasi to Dibrugarh on the Ganga Vilas. And there has been, you have seen already some of the things. So this is the ship which was iconic. This was specially designed for long cruises with all the modern facilities and everything. So this is the route we took. This is the interiors. Again, the interiors are very much Indian, and all the local materials have been used, including textiles. The sun deck, as it is, the restaurant. So there is a lot of, the lounge bar, there is a lot of scope for promoting or for investing in river cruise tourism. As we have said, as you have heard, there are 111 rivers. Out of that, we are using only 4 or 5 rivers for river cruise tourism, but there is an opportunity for investment. The important thing is to realize that each river has its own character. So you cannot use the ships on the Ganga on what is there in Kerala or in Goa. So each ship you have to design a ship which suits that river. This is the spa. These are some of the sites on which we see on the Ganga Vilas, so the long journey. As you can see, the crafts, monuments. This is Bangladesh, beautiful floating markets. Bagher Ghat, which is a World Heritage Site. Sonargaon, other temples in Bangladesh. And then we are in Assam, where we also see some very nice but unvisited areas. Again, Assam. So all I'm just saying is that there are a lot of opportunities for river cruising in India, and we can make it grow. And IWI does assist us in making sure that we are able to operate successfully as far as maintenance of channels is concerned, if we get stuck up and all. And we have invested a lot of money into it, and we are going to be further investing into new areas and new rivers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Raj Singh. Sorry, the audience, we have already overshot by 34 minutes. Now I ask the MC to start with the rest of the session, that is the presentation of mementos, please.
Check.
Thank you, Consol. Thank you, gentlemen, for a fantastic session. I'm going to quickly now call upon Mr. Sanjay Bandyopadhyay, Chairman IWAI, to felicitate Mr. Khalid Mohammad Chaudhary, Honorable State Minister of Shipping, Government of Bangladesh. A big round of applause. Thank you. And to acknowledge the presence of our dignified dais members and their contribution to the session, I'm going to request Mr. Sanjay Bandyopadhyay to present mementos to our panelists. I shall be naming them now. Mr. Commodore Arif Mustafa. Thank you. Mr. R. Lakshmanan. Mr. Sanjeev Kumar. Dr. Nayan Sharma. Mr. Jaco. Mr. Harry DeLisure. Mr. Arnab Bandyopadhyay. And Mr. Raj Singh. Thank you. May I request all the dignitaries to just step forward for a nice group photograph, and then we'll be able to let you go for your lunch. A big round of applause for the panelists. Thank you. Thank you. Our next session will be at 3 p.m. Just a quick housekeeping reset. Emerging technologies in the maritime sector at 3 p.m.